During the middle of the 12th century, a secretive hashish-smoking Shiite Muslim sect in Syria staked its claim to the Islamic Empire with such calculated and ruthless violence that its name is now synonymous with expedient death. It established a system of underground cells and created a branching pyramid system of agents and spies throughout the Muslim world with a command structure that would be copied by all subsequent secret societies, including the Freemasons and the Templars. They were called the Assassins. At first they were called the Nizariah in their attempt to restore Prince Nasser al-Tayyib to the caliphship of Egypt, whom they proclaimed as the miraculous reincarnation of Ishmael. When this failed, they set up a new cycle of Nizariah imams, which they decided conveniently would distinguish themselves from previous imams by actually breaking the established laws of the Sharia in preparation for the arrival of Al-Mahdi, the apocalyptic chosen one. This meant the Nizariah imams could grant themselves license to drink wine and smoke large quantities of hashish and even other Muslims in the pursuit of jihad, the holy struggle of Muslims. It wasn't long before they were denounced by Orthodox authorities as apostates, non-Muslims, and became marked men. The Nizariah moved from Egypt into Syria, where they became known as the Hashshashin, the Arabic plural for hashish smokers, although some have suggested that guardians of the secrets is the true origin of the word. Under the leadership of Hassan bin Sabbah, they conducted a vicious guerrilla war and mounted attacks on Baghdad from their fortress headquarters in the Alamut Valley in North Persia to try to overthrow the Sunni rulers. In the history of the assassins, Amin Maalouf describes Hassan as a man of immense culture, a devotee of poetry, profoundly interested in the latest advances of science. He drew heavily on the organization and techniques of Daraul Hikmat, House of Knowledge, or Grand Lodge of Cairo, when he developed his methods. For more than 2 centuries, the assassins perfected techniques of death, weaponry, poisoning, and covert operations that made them the scourge of the Eastern world. Their Alamut fortress has entered into Persian legend as a sumptuous earthly paradise, which Marco Polo described after passing the way in 1271. In a beautiful valley enclosed between 2 lofty mountains, Hassan has formed a luxurious garden stored with every delicious fruit and every fragrant shrub that could be procured. Palaces of various sizes and forms were erected in different parts of the ground, ornamented with works of gold, with paintings, and with furniture of rich silks. By means of small conduits contained in these buildings, streams of wine, milk, honey, and some of pure water were seen to flow in every direction. The inhabitants of these places were elegant and beautiful damsels, accomplished in the arts of singing, playing upon all sorts of musical instruments, dancing, and especially those of dalliance and allurement. In order that none without his license should find their way into this delicious valley, he caused a strong and inexpugnable castle to be erected at the opening to it, through which the entry was by a secret passage. End quote. Hassan was said to recruit local youths by drugging them and then transporting them to the valley where, after receiving a glimpse of paradise, they would be thrust back to reality, which would now appear so mundane by comparison. They would willingly join his cause and be prepared to die for the chance of returning to the garden of arcane delights. Once Hassan had recruited his new apprentices, they would then be brainwashed with tricks and drugs into mindless acceptance of his unique personality cult, whose motto was, quote, "Nothing is forbidden," everything is permitted. One such illusion described in Abdel Rahman's Ancient Art of Imposture involved burying a disciple up to his neck, which would then be dabbed with blood. This apparently dismembered head would then describe the delights of paradise to the initiates. Afterward, the unfortunate disciple would secretly be beheaded and placed on public view to complete the trickery. According to Archon Daraul in A History of Secret Societies, there were 3 degrees of followers: missionaries, known as Days, friends, Rafiq, who were disciples, and Fidei, who were devotees. The last group were the trained killers. Fidei wore white with a girdle, cap, or boots red. In addition to carefully coaching in where and when to place the dagger in the victim's bosom, they were trained in such things as languages, the dress and manners of monks, merchants, and soldiers, any of whom they were ready to impersonate in carrying out their missions. An assassin would be instructed to perform a killing with the words, quote, "Where do you come from?" end quote. He would reply, quote, "From paradise." Then receive his instructions, quote, "Go then and slay a man I shall name. When you return, you shall again dwell in paradise, for not death, because the angels of Allah will transport you nevertheless to paradise." The assassin's influence spread throughout Persia and Iraq until the middle of the 13th century, when the sect gradually imploded after Hassan was murdered by his son, Muhammad, who was in turn dispatched by his own son. The Alamut fortress was captured by the Mongols in 1256, marking the beginning of the end of the assassins as a cohesive military unit, until the early 16th century when the Ottomans destroyed their last stronghold in Syria. However, the dynasty of Nizariah Ismailite imams has continued in modern branches of Islam until the age of Khan, although modern Ismailites have dropped the title assassins and most accept the Quran's message of tolerance. Hey y'all, listen, High Velocity Philosophy is a brand new channel, and I'm just going to do whatever I want on here. And if you like this kind of content, I really appreciate it if you liked, shared, and subscribed to this channel, all right? Peace.